Hey folks, welcome. So I've had a lot of people ask me about getting video of the Emmaselle actually flying in the air. So I was lucky enough to get a young man who's my neighbor named Henry to go with me to the flying field and videotape a flight. So there will be two videos here, one of the same flight, one of the flight where I'm going to describe what it's like to fly the plane, and the other video with just no audio and you can just hear the sound. So real quick, folks, this airplane has 10S2P batteries, has a Hacker A100, and essentially it's 61 pounds. It's AMA LMA1. And folks, if you can't fly rudder, if you can't basically fly this like a real airplane, you probably wouldn't have much fun. It definitely flies on the wing. It's not overpowered. It's about 6,000 watts. I get about a 7-minute flight out of it, and essentially I've got enough power left to do a go-around. So I can probably get 9 minutes before the batteries are down to like 3.5 volts per cell. It's just a big, gentle giant. Now, a couple of things about this aircraft, folks, that's really, really fun to fly is it has independent brakes, so I can turn it around on a dime. I have simulated fake exhaust blinking in the exhaust stacks. And basically, folks, it flies kind of like a Cub. It has an extremely light wing load. It's a 188-inch wingspan. And at 61 pounds, it is just a gentle giant. I like to fly it low and slow. Maybe it's because when I was a kid, I learned to fly control line first, and I'm not afraid of the ground. But essentially, folks, it's just, you've got to definitely know how to use rudder on it, or it'll just look really silly in the turns. There's a lot of adverse yaw from those big old ailerons I have. And in the past, I've had a lot of video from on board where I tape cameras to the airplane, but I don't have a lot of video of it actually flying. And Henry, my neighbor, is brand new to videotaping this, so he may have been zoomed in a little close at a couple of times, but I still think he did an absolute stellar job recording the airplane flying. And, you know, folks, I just like to get up and do figure eights. I mean, now if there's airplanes in the pattern, you know, I'm going to fly the pattern, but I was the only one in the air this day. And, you know, it's such a stable airplane too, folks. And it's just rock solid, even with this little bit of headwind we had that day. And, you know, this is me coming in and do a little one-wheel touch and go. And, you know, you can really see I kicked the rudder right there to get it to turn. So, yeah, folks, and it does have a robotic baby in it, which I've gotten a lot of hell from people, you know, trying to call Child Protective Services saying I'm taking a real baby up in the airplane. And the baby is robotic. The head will move so it can, like, look around and stuff like that. One thing about this airplane, this is that wing that I put the yarn on the wing to test how it stalls. Because I got this wing design from CompuFoil, but I essentially adjusted the outside ribs to be a lot thicker than the inside, and I changed the incidence a little bit so that I could essentially get a much higher angle of attack on the middle of the wing versus the outside of the wing. So this wing is really predictable. It's really, when it starts to stall, it just mushes over a little bit, but you still have aileron control. And if you want to know more about that, find my video where I stall test this with the yarn on the wing. I had a camera on the tail. Essentially videotaping the wings. So when it stalls, you could see the yarn lift up off it. And I'm just like flying around having fun here. And I love to get down low and slow with it, folks. It's just so much fun. And I think this is my landing. Some people say, boy, you really got that nose high when you're landing. This wing, folks, is really, really predictable. It does not stall easy. And it's all by design. And just roll her onto the ground. Now, I'll show off here some with the brakes here in a minute. Oh, and the fake exhaust does change with my throttle setting in the exhaust pipe there. My friend Berger de la Pena helped me design the controller. Well, actually, he designed the controller kind of to the specs I asked. Well, I told him what I wanted to do, and he designed the controller. And it basically has 4 channels that are talking to 8 MOSFETs, and there's 4 on each side, and I just kind of stagger those left to right, and it gives a really good. Now here, watch this, folks. I'll lock up one of the brakes, and I can just pivot the whole plane on one wheel. And now I'm going to pivot on the other one. And folks, after this little video right here, I'll play the whole thing again with me not talking, so you can hear what the plane sounds like better. Well, that's it, folks.
No, I got brakes. Yeah, I have independent brakes. Exactly. Why not?